So I hear you guys like angry videos and controversial videos and videos of me ranting about books and characters I don't like. So that's what this one's about. Characters I don't like. Because let's be honest, my favorite videos to watch on YouTube or like booktube are like unhauls and rants and things like that. I don't know what it is about the negativity, but I just thrive off of it. And I know other people feel the same way. Not everyone, of course, but other people do like more negative videos. So if that's not your thing, this will not be the video for you, because today I am here to bring you the characters I don't like. Now, honestly, I probably could have made this list a lot longer than I did, but I limited myself to 5 characters. So there might be a sequel part to this video one day as, you know, I read more books and stumble across more characters I don't like. So yeah, we're just gonna go with 5 today that are in no particular order. I don't hate any one of these characters more than another one. Oh, that might not be true. I don't know. I've never really thought to rank them before. But either way, the order I present these characters in is not in like, I hate this one more than I hate this one. These all just frustrate me to some degree for some reason. So without further ado, let's get into them. So the first character I'm going to talk about is one that I would guarantee would be on most people's lists, and that is Bella Swan from the Twilight series. I have never really liked Bella. Even when I first read the series and was just absolutely in love with it, I did not like Bella as a character. Even back then, I was able to recognize that she was like the emptiest shell of a character. She is like the epitome of this character is like nothing, so as a reader, you are able to imagine yourself as that character. She is so boringly described. She is described as just pale and like average and brown hair. There is no defining characteristic in her like appearance, so that any person who could vaguely fit that description could see themselves in her shoes. And that is just really shitty writing, honestly, to have a character who is so plain and so boring that every single person relates to them, not because of like their personality or how they are, but because they aren't described. But that is just the beginning of why I don't like this character. Bella Swan does not give a shit about herself or the people around her. And I know you're gonna say, but she does care about the people around her. She sacrifices so much. But no, she doesn't. She self-sacrifices to the point that it's obvious that she doesn't care about people around her, because if she did, she wouldn't put them through that. Like, there's no other way to describe it, especially in like the first book where she goes on a suicide mission, essentially, because she's like, well, I don't want to harm the people around me, so I'm gonna go die. Spoiler alert. Like, that just doesn't make sense. Clearly that's gonna hurt the people around you, and then you're gonna be at the center of it, and so just no. That's not honorable and like self-sacrificing in a good way. That's just a shitty thing and a shitty character. And also, like, in addition to her just lackluster descriptions about her appearance, this girl has no personality. Like, she is clumsy and she is awkward, but that is it. She has she's occasionally sarcastic too, but there's like no defining personality to her at all. She just kind of is just there. Like, that's the only way I know how to describe Bella. Just there. So this next one I know a lot of people do agree with if they've actually read this series, and I don't know if this character gets better later on because I've only read the first book, but that is Tatiana from The Bronze Horseman by Paulina Simons. I hated Tatiana. Oh my god, I hated reading from like her perspective, her point of view about what she does. She is a lot like Bella in that she is self-sacrificing to the point that it doesn't make sense. It drove me insane, some of the things she did, where they are like, everyone would be like, it is dangerous to go to this place, so she was like, okay, so I'm going to this place, like, and then just run off and get injured. It just didn't make sense. Plus, she was naive to like a fault, and I guess on one hand there are people that are like that, but on the other hand I felt like it was so overdone to the point where they tried really hard to make Tatiana this like flowy, like innocent little child, when she wasn't, when she had witnessed just the atrocities of war, because this book does take place for the most part in the siege of Leningrad, which was just a very tragic time in history. And so she would see all of these terrible things and then just be like frolicking around, just be like, la-di-da. It didn't make sense. What she let her family get away with, because I guess she was self-sacrificing, they were extremely, extremely abusive. And she was just like, nah, that's just how people are. It's okay. And when her, like, love interest would be like, nah, that's not how people are, or any of the neighbors or anyone else were like, nah, that's not how people are, she was like, yeah, that's okay. And, like, I guess on one hand, you could say it was because all she had known was being abused, and so that's how she thought life was supposed to be. But on the other hand, I think it was part of it was just the author's desire to make her extremely self-sacrificing and naive, and this bitch just did not make good decisions. She just, in general, I just hated this character. I hated reading from her perspective. So this next one, whew, it has been a long time since I have hated a character this much. That is America Singer from the Selection series. Now, I've only read the Selection and the Elite, which is the first 2 books in this original trilogy. I know there was like another 2-book spinoff. I have no intention to finish this series or even finish the trilogy because I hated America Singer. Well, I hated the whole book and the whole premise of it anyway, but especially America Singer. First off, America is just a really bad name for a character. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I just thought and like, it probably wouldn't be so bad if it was like America with a normal last name, but her last name is Singer because she sings. Bad naming aside, this character was just terrible. She made awful decisions, and that seems to be like a running trend for this list. I guess I just hate characters who make really shitty decisions, and she was one of them. So if you don't know, the Selection series is a dystopian, I guess, trilogy that takes place in a dystopian America where there is a monarchy. And every time the monarchy's like heir comes of age, they hold a major contest to pick the heir's spouse, essentially. And so it's like it's basically like The Bachelor meets a dystopian novel. So America Singer was one of the contestants chosen to win this contest and become basically the next generation of rulers for this place that doesn't even have a name. It probably does, but I don't remember. And so there are a lot of issues I have with this book and the series as a whole, but I think it would have been a lot more enjoyable if I liked America at all. But it drove me crazy when she would be in like the middle of a battle, or the castle would just be literally falling down around her, and she would be like, should I go kiss this boy? Oh, this boy. Like, there would be like just terrible things happening, like life or death situations happening, and she would just be like, oh, romance. And it didn't make sense, because if you're in the situation when you're about to die, a normal person's first thought is not, I need to go run off and kiss this person. It would not be, or not even that. Like, her decisions would really just be like, which boy do I want to choose? Like, the world's falling down around her, but it's which boy do I want to choose? And I did not relate to that at all. Yeah, I hated America Singer. I hated this book. I will only hold on to this book so I can show it in videos and talk about how much I didn't like it. Because I'm petty. So it's time to get into the more controversial ones. I guess technically all of these could be controversial if you like the characters, and I don't, but... So this next character is another pretty polarizing one, and that is Snape from the Harry Potter series. Everyone either loves or hates this character, and I fall into the hate category. I liked him the first time I read the series, and then I've thought back and thought about just the character and his arc and his actions and realized I don't like this character. He is just terrible. And everyone's like, oh, but he had a redemption arc. And like, all just justifications. But I'm sorry, no redemption arc ever ever excuses emotionally abusing 11-year-olds just because you are salty that you didn't end up with the woman you loved. And it just, in no way is child abuse ever justified in my eyes. And that is exactly what Snape did. Snape abused Neville to the point where Neville's boggart, which you know takes shape of the thing the person fears the most, literally took the form of Snape, which means that Neville didn't even fear Voldemort or anything more than he feared Snape, because that man made this kid's life a living hell. And so I just don't get how people can justify their love for this character, because they're like, but he loved her in the end. He was a good guy. He helped out overall. But he emotionally abused 11-year-olds. 11-year-olds. Children. He emotionally abused children because he was just a cock-blocked fuck. I don't know another way to describe him. I hated this character. It drives me crazy when people try to justify his actions. Not about it. Not about it. So I saved the most controversial one to last. I know I had said that this list wasn't in like ranking order of characters I like the least as number one, but I saved the most controversial pick to last because this is a character everyone loves. I feel like I am definitely in the minority here. A little nervous. And that is Kael Westfall, I think is his last name. I just think of World of Warcraft when I hear Westfall, so I could be wrong. But Kael from the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. I know. You guys are ready to like attack me now. So hear me out. I liked Kael in the first 2 books. He was even alright in the 3rd book. And I think it was more Sarah J. Maas doing him dirty than it was the character becoming one that I hated. Like, because I liked him enough in the first couple books, I really do feel like it was the arc that Sarah J. Maas put him on as opposed to me hating the character that made me dislike him. I don't know if that makes sense. Basically, I never really shipped him and Selena in the first place. I never really, he was just there. I didn't love him, but I also didn't hate him in the first couple books. He was a pretty chill dude. I kind of liked him. Like, as a character, I liked him, just not as a love interest. But, oh my god, later in the books, like, Queen of Shadows, I don't think he was in Empire Storms. Queen of Shadows, like, End of Era Fire, Queen of Shadows era, Kael, he became so fucking entitled. He was so whiny, and, like, I get that he thought, like, Selena did him wrong, but he became so whiny and entitled and just insufferable. And I think that's what made me start to hate him, is the fact that I would just, when his chapters would come up, I'd just be like, ugh, because he just became insufferable. I don't know another word for it. I can't really pinpoint, like, quotes or anything like that. And like I said, I did enjoy him at first as a character, but then Sarah J. Maas just didn't give him the time of day anymore, and as a result, I think she wanted him to become unlikable so that the endgame pairing with Selena could happen and people would ship that as opposed to Kaelina, I think was their ship name. But, and I fell victim for it because I just don't like him anymore. I'm really not looking forward to this next book, especially because it was supposed to be a novella, which I could have happily skipped, but now she made it a full-length novel, with her full-length novels are being like 700 pages, so a full-length novel that I have to read before I can read the last book, because I guess things get revealed. Why are you doing this to me, Sarah J. Maas? I don't like him. I don't like him anymore. He's become whiny and entitled and just insufferable. So anyway, those are my, I would say at least at the end, fairly controversial picks for my least favorite characters. Like I said, this is a list that I probably will revise over and over again because I intend to keep reading in my life. And I can almost guarantee that as I read more and more books that I'm not going to love every character I come across, because that's not how life works. So, you'll probably be seeing more and more of these lists in the future. As always, thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!